Hey there, I'm Andrea Olson with Godiaperfree, and I want to record episode 80 of the Godiaperfree podcast for you today. It is called No Signals, No Patterns, What to Do When Observation Time Yields Nothing. So let's do that right now. Welcome to the Godiaperfree podcast, where we're all about helping you potty your baby as early as birth. I'm your host, Andrea Olson, author and mom of 5 EC babies, all EC'd from birth, all out of diapers by walking. This is episode 80. No signals, no patterns. What to do when observation time yields nothing. You could read the written version of today's show over at godiaperfree.com/80, where I'll also conveniently link to anything I mentioned in today's episode. I will also be replying to comments over there, so come on by when you're finished. So today, we're going to talk about what to do when you get no signals, no patterns, no natural timing, no nothing, no rhythm, no intervals from observation time when doing elimination communication. So whether you are just starting EC or trying to get an update on your baby's current signals or their current natural timing because things simply aren't working out lately, doing observation with no results is super frustrating, you guys. But I have some helpful tips for you today that will hopefully both lift your spirits and get you feeling confident about doing EC again. First thing I want to say is don't give up. Your baby not signaling does not mean that A, you're a bad parent, or B, your baby is broken, or C, EC is not working. I want you to know that this is totally normal, and it does not mean that you need to stop doing EC. The next thing I want to say is just to work with reality, not against it. The reality is your kid doesn't signal right now. So what? No big deal. It's actually totally 100% normal. It's part of most people's EC process. And I want to tell you something right now about this. The reality is you're not seeing signals because if we lived in an intact community, in an indigenous culture, these babies wouldn't need us anymore. They would, like when we're wearing them in a sling, they would fuss, we would pull them out, point and shoot, put them back in the sling. But then after they're crawling and walking, they're off, you guys. Why would they need us to help them? The reason you lose signals and you lose this ability to find any kind of pattern during these heavy developmental periods of crawling and walking and stuff is because the babies have no biological need to do that anymore. They don't need your help anymore technically over millions of years, but in our modern society, it would be great if they did signal because then that would give us some validation that we're a good parent. Everybody we're telling won't think we're crazy anymore because they'll see the baby signal, and it'll also just be a lot less messy. So I want you to know right now it's 100% normal and it is your current reality. Don't work against reality. If you try to fight reality, you are going to lose, and you also prevent reality from changing by not accepting it. So this is a very Zen concept. Stick with me. The other thing I want to say is use the 2 other roads to potty time during these times. Okay, so the 4 roads to potty time, as delineated in my book, are again baby signals, baby's natural timing and rhythm and pattern, generic timing or transition times, times when most babies need to go, like before and after going into something, maybe when waking up, maybe during a diaper change, things like that. And then there's intuition. So since you're not finding signals and you're not finding a really clear natural timing pattern, then I want you to use the other 2 roads to potty time, transition times and intuition. And specifically, within this category of transition times, because you're probably like, Andrea, I don't even have intuition right now. I have no confidence about this. How could I possibly figure this out? I want you to just rely on the 4 easy catches during this time of no signals and not knowing the pattern. Because I guarantee you eventually, by the time your child's 2 or 3, they're going to start signaling. And probably well before that, but let's not count on it because that would provide pressure and introduce that into our scene, and we don't want pressure in the scene. So yeah, back to this. The 2 other roads to potty time are transition times and intuition. Part of the transition times is just the 4 easy catches. So I want you to rely on 4 easy catches. When you see a poop start, you gently say, wait, transfer them to the potty, have them finish there. When the baby wakes up, you offer. During a diaper change, we offer, even if it's wet. And before putting them in something, we offer just so they're comfortable. And when taking them out, we offer because usually they have to go and then they'll be more comfortable and play longer independently. So during these times, we don't want to fight reality and we want to use what works. The next thing I want to ask you, what would you give up if, so would you give up feeding if your baby did not signal when they were hungry? If they were just crying about everything and you couldn't figure out which ones for feeding, would you just stop feeding them? No. What would you give up if your baby doesn't signal to sleep and doesn't say very clearly, I'm tired and I want to nap? Would you just give up sleep, offering them naps? No, you wouldn't. I'm being a little bit facetious here because I want you to get the picture here. It's just like feeding and sleep. If your baby doesn't signal for pottying, would you give up offering? No. And maybe you have no idea what you're doing, but that's okay. Rely on what I've just told you already in this podcast, okay? If you're totally lost, just get my book already if you don't have it and read it or listen to it. Okay. The next thing I want to talk about is, what's going wrong here? Why are you not getting any signals or any patterns? Well, first of all, you might be misinterpreting what you're seeing. Maybe somebody else would see it and you wouldn't, which is fine because you've never done this before. It may be all cry with your baby. Every single signal for every single need is a cry. And how do you discern them? I would recommend that you look into Dunstan baby language. The specific sound for discomfort is the one I could find that was most closely related to the EC signals for a baby who's just all cry. Maybe what else is going wrong? Maybe it's just too subtle. Their signal is so subtle that you aren't picking up on it, which is fine. We live in a distraction-full society. We want to limit our distractions and try to cut all of that noise out, and maybe then you'll be able to see. Maybe you're sleep deprived. Like me, I haven't slept in 10 years. I haven't slept a full night in 10 years, and I'm not proud of it. But I don't sleep well when I'm pregnant, and then I don't really do a lot of sleep training, unfortunately. We kind of roll with it, and I would probably do some things differently if I could to give me more sleep. But if you're in the same boat and you're sleep deprived, I guarantee you it's going to be really hard to pick up on much of anything. Definitely important to try to get some sleep. Okay, the next thing I want to say is I want you to stay the course. Even if you have no idea why things are going wrong, you can't figure it out, you can't troubleshoot it, just relax. It's okay. A lot of this developmental change is happening right now in the background for your baby. They're rolling, they're crawling, they're sitting, they're creeping, they're standing, they're walking. There's a lot going on there. Some babies really need to focus on all of that. Some are just like, cool, things are changing and I'm going to be with you on this potty process. So it depends on their temperament and how much is going on in the background. But it doesn't mean just to stop because you aren't finding signals or patterns. I want you to lead the process. And if that needs to be parent-led for quite a while until they start to communicate back, that's fine. And then creating a routine. Let's talk about creating a routine. What rhythm would work for you? So pretend for a second that you have 5 kids like me. I thrive on rhythms. Pretend like you have twins. I've heard twin moms say that they thrive on rhythms and routines. Everything has a schedule and a routine. Otherwise, they would get completely lost. I'm the same way with so many kids. If you only have 1 or 2 kids, it's still hard. I feel you. I've been there. Find a routine and rhythm that works for you throughout your day, and then insert feeding, insert sleeping, and insert potty time into that rhythm that you create. Babies and mamas and families and daddies thrive on rhythms and routines. And we're not talking about newborns. So breastfeeding on demand with a newborn, I totally agree with that. I totally agree with heavy attachment parenting in the beginning there because they're just like need. I need everything right now. They also signal more easily. And for those, using the 4 easy catches is super important. What this does is get you into a rhythm and routine. When this newborn baby wakes up, I'm going to take them. So not to confuse you, I'm not saying to hyper-schedule a newborn's day. But if you've got an 8-month-old or a 13-month-old and you're like drowning in, I have no idea what I'm doing with pretty much anything, and again, I've been there, the best thing I could tell you is to do a routine or a rhythm that works for you. Create it, write it out, pretend like you have a billion kids and you have to be organized and you will rise to the occasion. Next thing I want to say is you do not need your baby to signal to do EC. I repeat, You do not need to get signals from your baby to do EC. You can be 100% successful with EC with no signals, no patterns, no knowledge of natural timing, just by doing the 4 easy catches, transition times, and by following your own intuition, just by creating a rhythm and routine and inserting potty time in places where it makes sense, just by getting feedback from your baby of what's working and what's not working and troubleshooting and doing what works for you. And I know that's kind of like a cop-out answer, but I'm telling you, everybody's experience is different. I can't just give you a cookie cutter. This is what your journey is going to look like. But I can tell you that I have seen thousands and thousands and thousands of parents do EC fine with no signals, and then eventually the baby starts signaling even after they've wrapped it up. Finally, it starts to happen, and it's like, oh, this is so much easier. But it still works out. Again, if we were in a like 300,000 years ago in a community setting, they wouldn't need us anymore. Why would they signal? Why would they try to stick to a pattern? They're just going to do what they do and take themselves. So next thing I want to say is if you aren't finding signals or patterns, I want you to try to use observation time to find the range. So the window, how far apart are the range at, like, okay, she peed 20 minutes, 15 minutes, 70 minutes, and 40 minutes. Okay, your range is 15 to 70 minutes. That is great information. Now you know your baby's capability. My baby held it, me personally, Andrea, 70 minutes the other day. And I was like, oh my gosh, you're 13 months old. This is crazy. That's her capability. That's like her max capability of holding it if she so chooses. 15 minutes is just about her minimum. So I know a range. I don't have a she pees every 20 minutes because that wouldn't work for my baby. She doesn't do that. But I know that between 15 and 70 minutes is her range. I know her max capability. It's good information. It's just bonus points. So within observation time, you can find the range, and that's good. The other thing I want you to do is just try again and try to do observation time again in a few months. Be super low pressure about it. There may never be signals or patterns, and that's okay too. But if you try again in a month or two, you might learn something new, and you'll probably learn that the upper limit capability has changed. It's gotten bigger, and the lower minimum has gotten bigger as well. So you will learn something. The last thing I want you to do is just please, mama, daddy, whatever, continue on, continue forward. Do what works for you. Continue to do what works for you and relax. Remember that your baby not signaling does not mean that you're a bad parent. It does not mean that your baby is broken. And it does not mean that EC is not working. It just means you're human, your baby is human, and you guys just need to sync up in whatever way is working and move forward with that. If that means creating this artificial feeling routine and rhythm to your day, great. That's your job as a parent to provide that for your child. It's going to give you both so many gifts. And it won't look like, oh, I really wished EC would look like this. Let go of that. Stop fighting reality. Accept the reality that is. It's like Byron Katie says, love what is. Because this is your reality. We're going to go with it and move with it and know that in a month it's going to change anyway. So I want you to stay encouraged. Go see the written version of this podcast over at godiaperfree.com/80. If you want to look at this, read it, the full written version's over there. Head over and let me know in the comments whether you are in the no signals, no patterns crowd, and what you're going to do today to work with that reality. See you over there. Until next time, happy potting, y'all. I'm Andrea Olson, and you've been listening to the Go Diaper Free podcast at godiaperfree.com. See you next time. Okay, and that's it. So below this video, please write as well. Are you in the no signal, no patterns crowd? What are you going to do today to change or to accept that reality and then take a step in the direction you want to go? Comment below. We answer everyone. I look forward to seeing you there, and also hit subscribe and the bell so that I can notify you next time a video or a podcast goes up. Thanks so much. Bye.